Hello there guys and welcome back to Valhaven. So this is now episode 16 in the series. Yeah, really excited to keep moving on with this series today. So let's have a quick recap of what we did last time out, shall we? So we came over to our new square over here and we built this lovely eco green cities town over here in the north. So we introduced these lovely little parks over here with these nice little up ramps down from the town, sort of sitting under here. We've got a new library, lots of shopping areas, new school facilities. So we've got our high school over here, our elementary school, and some sports pitches, which is great. And then we built this higher density, lower down area, which I absolutely love. And I think you guys all enjoyed last time out. So what we're going to do today is continue to build this area out. So I want to push the green cities further down into this area and then eventually also move over here. And today what I want to do is open up a new square so we can finally loop in this highway that we've been discussing for several episodes. So yeah, that's what the plan for today, and a quick recap on last time. But just to give you all a few updates, you'll notice I've named some of the districts. So we had some great suggestions for some district names. So we've gone for Espacio Verde over here, which I thought was very cool and kind of mixes in nicely with the new area. I also came down to this little nature reserve island that we built over here, and we've named this Eric Isle after one of our lovely subscribers who's very sort of open in the channel, always commenting, etc. So yeah, thank you very much for that. So you've now got your nice nature reserve island named after yourself. And then we had another comment which I really liked but just didn't use it in this district, but Fern Gully. So we've now called this little area here Fern Gully, and it is Fern Gully that we will be concentrating on today. So yeah, let's dive in and start the build, shall we? Cool. So I want to kick off by building a road network similar to what we did over in Espacio Verde. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly time lapse this, just quickly get a brief road network built in, and then we'll come back and we will start the official build. Okay, welcome back everyone. So yeah, we've done this sort of very basic road layout. So very similar to what we had previously in Espacio Verde. Just some very sort of normal road networks, and then we're just going to build within it. So I want to keep with the same theme. So we're going to go with green cities further into this area, but we're going to use a lot more high density as we move across, particularly in this area again, in the lower part of the town. So I just want to make sure I've moved my district all the way over. Yep, so Fern Gully is set. So we can start building in and putting in some residences, which is good. So we're going to start down here, which is going to be very much our high density hub for our residents. And again, I want specific zoning to ensure that we can introduce plenty of walkability within this part of town. Walkability and cycling are going to be key within Fern Gully and Espacio Verde. So I really want to make sure we're maximizing the walkable space. So yeah, let's just make sure we get some nice residential zones scattered in. That should be good for now. So we're going to let those guys build in. And what we should be able to do is quite easily hook up the electricity. So let's get some low density residents growing in over here. And then what we'll probably do as well is hook in some walkable paths sort of going across this 4-lane road, just so people don't have to cross the busy network to get to and from where they need to be. So this is going to be looking good. So what we'll do is we'll have our higher density down here, which again we'll be very careful of what we're getting, and then kind of the central portion of this area is also going to be high density. And what this is going to allow us to do very quickly is hit our next milestone in terms of population. So yeah, we should be able to quickly unlock a new area and then hook in that highway that we've been discussing for several episodes. So that's quite exciting. So yeah, this is what I want to do. I just want to be, very careful around where I'm putting these high density ones because I don't want them too tightly coupled. So yeah, we're just going to scatter them here, there and everywhere. But hopefully this allows us to hook in the electricity. So we'll wait for them to grow in. So while we're doing that, I'm just going to move our water connectivity across. So again, I've had some comments already, but for the water police out there, please forgive the pipelines that aren't under the road. I know it really offends some people, but this is just the way we're playing the game. So my apologies if it does offend you, but yeah, that's how we're going to be doing things. So let's see if we can move that electricity across, and we may just need to populate this area. Cool, so I'm going to give that a minute and we'll be back in 2 ticks once everything is grown in. Okay, welcome back everyone. So while we were away, we reached our next milestone. So we've now achieved Big City with a population of 12,000 Sims. So fantastic news. So the main thing for us here is that we've unlocked this new tile, which is excellent. We can now proceed with that highway. And we've also unlocked some other great stuff. So we've got the new crematorium, water treatment plants, helicopter depot, so on and so forth. I won't go through them all in detail. But yeah, some new assets to work with as well, which is very, very good. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to immediately purchase that new tile, and I'm going to purchase this one over here because what that allows us to do is gain access to this highway, which we will eventually adapt. I want to make it a little bit smaller so it's not taking up so much space, but more importantly this piece of road here. So I'm now going to hook in this highway, and what that's going to do, because we have such a big gap between this highway entrance here and this one, i.e. people currently have to drive all the way around here to get into this part of the city. What I assume is going to happen is everyone's going to start using this as a through road to get from this side to this side. So we'll do it, we'll hook it in, but I just want to keep an eye on it to make sure that we don't sort of overbear the city. It shouldn't be a big problem, but yeah, we'll keep an eye on it to make sure. So I'm just going to rework this because again, this is a 3-lane road over here. And this is obviously a 2-lane road going through the city. So I want to make sure that we have a consistent 2-lane road running the whole way through. It doesn't need to be any bigger than that. So yeah, give me 2 seconds. We'll time lapse this and I'll be back once everything is done. Okay, welcome back. So we are now hooked into the highway. So if we come over to the actual intersection itself, so what we've got is these sort of on-ramps, and it actually works in terms of lane mathematics now. So we've got 2 individual highway ramps coming on into a 2-lane highway road, and same coming off. But now this runs all the way through into the city, which is great. So we've just kind of added a little ramp in here, which will decorate up as we move through the series. But yeah, just a sort of a nice subtle ramp in, and then we've dug out this piece of this hill here, or this mountain, and yeah, we've dug the highway through it. So I'll probably tidy this up as well later, just to make sure it doesn't look as bad. But yeah, I wanted to make sure, because look, if you're building a highway, generally the natural earth would be cut to allow the highway to be placed. So yeah, this kind of just looks really nice over here now. So as we tidy this up and we get more built around it, it's going to look really cool. So yeah, our city is now connected. So I just want to make sure I got my lanes or my directions flowing correctly, which I think I did. Yeah, so we should start seeing people, as we are seeing people using this part of the highway, and as I suspect, we should end up getting people coming in through this area as well, to enter the city. So yeah, this is now looking really, really good. So we've got our town building over here. So Fern Gully is going to continue building. I don't really want too much more high density over here, so I'm going to add in some lower density assets into this area. That should be okay, possibly. Let's just move it down for now, just in case. Yeah, so as we get our residences building in, this should just keep itself ticking over. So I now want to focus on this area of town here, and you'll notice we're getting a bit of a spike in industrial demand. So eventually what I want to do is build more farmland, probably over in this area, but maybe also over here where we've got sort of high farm area. But I also want to build, obviously, eventually some ore and some oil industry. So down the line we should easily satisfy that industry demand, but for now I want to build in sort of like a small green cities industry area over here, just to satisfy this part of the map, because at the moment the only real industry zone is this one over here in our starting tile. So yeah, we're going to do that today. So in order to do that, I want to bring this road across and down, and then create like a small area over here, and eventually this will possibly also connect into this highway, just to give another bit of access to the industrial zones. But for now, let's just move this over and start figuring out where we want our new industrial zone to sit. So I'm just going to bring this down. It's not going to be anything too fancy. We came up by 12, so I'm actually going to do 2 lots of drops. So I'll come down to 6, come down 2, and then come down 2 again, just so we've got that sort of steady drop on this side. It's quite steep over this side, so we'll have a steady one over here. And then I just want to bring a 4-lane road all the way across into here, and I might actually switch this to a industrial road further down the line, but for now I just want to work with this just to give us a vibe of what we need to do. And I'm actually just going to pause because I want to reimagine this train area. So yeah, I'm going to bring this out. Just as I was looking at it, I noticed we've got this kind of, the line just goes straight into this station, and I want to do similar to what we've got over here, where we've got a bypass line, so people can use it if they want. So I just want to reduce this road that we've got in here, and come back into, what road did we use here? So we've got the one with the green median, which I believe is this. So if we come out by a little bit more and then bring that down, is that going to be too short? Yes. We should be able to hook back in. Perfect. And then if we move our station, so I want to bring it into here, and then we can delete this piece of line. Perfect. Come into our train line, bring the train line all the way through, and I've just noticed that's not going to fit under there, so we'll reimagine this in a moment. That's fine. I want to bring this out by 10 and then have a nice reasonable hook in at 11. That should be okay. So again 10, and then if we just extend this a little bit more, come out to 11, and now what we've got, so the trains can come in if they're stopping at this station, if not they can bypass all the way through down into what will eventually be down here, likely a downtown, etc. So let's just make sure that we move our train stops, so that is good, that should be fine, and the tram stop should just figure itself out, I think. Will it? Let's just do it while we're here. Tram, perfect, and then we will drag the stop to move it in there. Ideal. Cool, so everyone's happy. So let's reimagine this bridge, shall we? Because we do want that train line to run underneath it. So let's come back into our 4-lane roads. We were using the bus road. No, we weren't. We were using the bike road. And I want to come out just to the edge of this, and that should hopefully be enough. And then I think we'll just do a steep drop all the way down, just in the thinking about space in this area, and then come straight into the curve, and then eventually we'll go over or under the highway over here, or potentially have a connection. So I just want to bring the train line all the way through just to make sure we haven't messed that up, and it does work. It does. Perfect. So yeah, eventually the train line will run all the way through and out into this area or over here or both. And yeah, that should work nicely for the citizens. Cool. So let's have a little think about what we want to do with this industry area. So I think I am just going to upgrade this to an industrial road, just because it's going to fit the aesthetic. So let's just upgrade that. Perfect. And then the down ramp can actually no, the down ramp can remain the cycle road just to keep that look. And then what I want to do is just bring some small industrial roads out into this area. In fact, I'm going to upgrade this to the smaller 4-lane industrial road, just because I think aesthetically it looks nicer. I think it's got a better vibe. And I'm going to come into my road guidelines, and I actually want to mirror the train track. So we've got a road sitting right up against that train track. And once we start getting assets into this area, I think that's going to look really nice. So let's just bring in some connections to this road here. Perfect. And then we're also just going to stretch out this way as well. So yeah, almost hugging the highway over here. And for now, I'm just going to create a little square, have a nice little grid sitting in here. And again, we want to leave some space for some walkability over here. So we will have some paths for our services. But for now, this is just going to look really good in terms of giving us a starting block to go into this area. And just looking at this, I think I'll switch that to the wider 4-lane road. Again, just aesthetically, it looks nicer coming off that bridge. Cool. So I'm just going to paint a quick zone over here, or district. And it's going to be this small district over here. And what I want to do is then use the industrial evolution assets over here. So I really like these assets, and once we lay them down, you'll see what I'm saying. But what I want is like a sort of frontage network of industrial assets over here on this side, just so as you're going past on the train, you've got this view of some nice industrial sort of vibes in this area. So that's going to be a good starting block over in this space. And again, forgive me all the water police, but I'm going to be laying these not under the roads. But yeah, hopefully that works for everybody. So they're going to start growing in, and we'll come back to them very shortly. But what I want to concentrate on is our green cities asset. So our electricity is actually looking really good, but money-wise, we're actually in a good space. So I want to bring in some more power to this area, just so we can start getting rid of some of these sort of connections into Old Town, and start having sort of Old Town and New Town managing their own electricity supply. And we've got a couple of options. So we can use the solar updraft tower, which is a really big asset, and I do actually really like this. I'm just going to test this in this area actually and see what I think. I think that's probably too big for the vibe that I'm going for over here. So I'm just going to delete that out. I'm actually going to delete this road as well at the moment. I think I'm going to use the geothermal power plant. So if we look at its stats, we get there's no pollution generated. Obviously, it's green cities, and it has some noise pollution, but it's not really going to be an issue in this area. But it outputs 80 megawatts of power. If we look at that compared to what we're using today with the coal power plants, and even if we use the oil power plants, we're getting between 80 and 120 megawatts of power being generated. So it's generating quite good power, not as much as the solar updraft tower, which we will use eventually. But for this area, I think we're going to be quite happy using the geothermal. So what I want to do is I want to lay one in here, and immediately you'll see it's connected these guys up, which is great. And then I want to have two sitting in this area, but I don't want them sitting side by side right next to each other. So I'm going to bring a small road in right up against this. And that should do. And then hoping I've given myself enough space. I have not. So let's start moving things around. So move you across. And then bring this road in. Again, we'll go to there for now. And then now I should have enough space to lay you in there like that. Perfect. So now we've got these two geothermal power plants just sort of sitting side by side. And this is a really good use of sort of duplicating assets, but not having them sitting in a block next to each other. So yeah, they're just going to kind of sit here and they've got this nice industrial vibe. So yeah, I think I'm going to be quite happy with the way that looks. And then I just want to extend this road all the way up and through just to close off the assets. And I think we'll just do the same over here as well. So yeah, with the absence of a surface painter, that's going to be really good. We can try and get some paths in around it as well and some decoration to try to increase the vibe over here. But I think as a starter, that is going to be really good. So next, thinking about green cities, I want to bring in some recycling. So again, we've got a lot of recycling over in this area, but currently those recycling trucks are having to travel all the way through to get over to Espacio Verde, Kenwick and Fern Gully. So we're going to have like a recycling centre sitting over here. So again, these assets, I think they look quite good, but I want to space them out in a nice way so they accent each other. So again, we're just going to bring one in like so, and then I want to bring a road around it just to encircle the asset. I've done exactly the same. So yeah, let's encircle this asset. Perfect. That's going to be good. And then I want to create a connection in there and then have another one sitting here and one backing onto it there. So again, just a small recycling centre. Yeah, and again, sitting up against the highway, that's going to look really nice. People driving past, they're kind of seeing this industrial vibe in this area, which is cool. So let's come back to our Industrial Revolution assets, and we're going to get a good view here. But level 1, they grow in like this, and I do really like these assets, but I think they sit in nicely in a specific vibe, in a specific area. But once they grow to level 2, and we're about to see it, they grow into these lovely looking assets. So I really like these, and I think they quite fit the vibe that we're going for over here. So I'm just going to historicalize. Is historicalize a word? I'm going to make these historical for now, and then as these larger ones grow, we'll make those historical as well. But yeah, we effectively want to get rid of these huge chimneys that are showing and have more of a smaller industrial vibe in this area. So I think we'll just continue this over on this side and then maybe have some paths running through here later on. But I think that's going to look really good. So yeah, that's basically all we're going to do over here. The last things I kind of want to build in is making sure that we've got our emergency services. So these are obviously a big fire risk. If something happens over here, it's going to be a big problem to the area. So I want to make sure that we've got fire safety in this area. So I want to bring in a fire station. So we're going to use this fire station 17 and just place him central within the industrial zone, and then I think we'll do the same. So we want to give these guys some healthcare, some medical facilities. So again, nothing too fancy over in this area. Let's just pick a nice asset. So let's give them a doctor's office, and we can just place that on the corner over here. So I think it's just going to look quite nice and fit in with the vibe. So these guys have got their own sort of self-functioning medical and fire facilities, and obviously the police can still get in from Espacio Verde. So yeah, this is going to look good. So we will continue to build this out. It will continue to grow into this area, but for now I think we're going to stick with that and slowly build. Cool. So let's come back to Fern Gully, shall we? I think this is enough high density assets. In fact, I'm not liking the way that these are structured, so we're going to get rid of a few and try to grow in some smaller assets. That should work. Perfect. And then this sort of frontage area over here, I want to be lower density. So we should be able to bring in some nice low density green cities assets into this area. It's going to look really nice. And then we'll just fill this whole thing up Again, I want walkable space over here, so I don't want to fill the whole thing too quickly. So we'll make sure that we're being very sporadic in our build, which is cool. And then we'll give these guys a little bit of a shopping area over here. So we'll let some shops grow in. We've also got some shops growing in over here as well, which is great. That's all really nice. And then get some high density assets growing again. So yeah, to reaffirm the point, we want this to be like a central high density area within Fern Gully. And then the rest of it is going to be small density sort of sitting around it. So you'll get the vibe by now if you're following the channel and following the series. I like to have sort of a very good mix of high and low. So yeah, this is going to work quite nicely in this space to have that mix in there. So we're just going to zone this up and make sure that we've got plenty of capacity for residential zones, and then we can move on. So yeah, let's finish that off. Very good. Bring in a few more lower density assets over here. Perfect. Yeah, we'll bring in some more shopping opportunities over in this area. I think that's going to be good for now. And then we'll fill this main road with shops. So again, you've got sort of like a central main road going all the way through the town with shops sort of sitting either side. So as you now come through Spazio Verde into Fern Gully, you've now got this great mix of sort of shopping and higher density. So yeah, I think this is looking really nice for this area. So I've just noticed I used a tree-lined road going through here. So I'm just going to upgrade this section to be tree-lined as well, just to keep that theme. And then previously we used our custom trees. So what did we use? I think we just used the young linden going all the way through. So we want to make sure that that is consistent. Cool. So that's going to look really nice. So again, if we look at it from the Spazio Verde side, looking from the park down, you're now getting this lovely rise into high density as you look down in the view, which I think is really nice. Yeah, it's just going to lead into downtown a lot nicer doing this sort of slow build into high density rather than having just big blocks of high density the whole way through the city. So yeah, this is how I like to build, and I think it works really nice. But let me know down in the comments what you think. Do you build this way? Do you do something different? I'd love to get your thoughts. Cool. So that's going to look good. We've got school assets over here. So let's start thinking about some parks, shall we? I want to give these guys some park assets. So I've got this nice big space over here. So I want to build a nice large park. And I think we'll stick with our park with trees vibe, similar to what we did over in Spazio Verde. And we'll do one here as well, sort of hugging this ramp and the bridge going over the main road here. So that's going to look really good. Coming back over, let's make these historical because they're all now upgrading to that nice level 2 vibe that we're looking for. Very good. So I just want to make sure that we're keeping these all historical. So we are getting some not enough workers going on, but that's because people are kind of moving in, they're getting their education, so on and so forth. So this shouldn't be a problem for too long. And what I'll probably do as well is maybe bring like a nice little train station in here so people can get easy access. I know they've got this here, but just increased access, which is always beneficial in city skylines. Cool. So yeah, I just want to finish this off now, finalize the residential zoning. Our parks will eventually grow in. Let's get some residences coming in over here as well. Don't want to get too close to that main road. That's going to look good. Let's fill in this. Very nice indeed. So yeah, Fern Gully is growing and it's going to look very nice once everyone has grown in. So let's have a quick chat while that's doing that in terms of what's going to happen next. So probably next episode we're going to focus on this area, and what I want to start doing is transitioning into more of like a downtown vibe, which I think is going to sit somewhere in this area, but we need to think about it. and start bringing these sort of road networks in just to make sure that we don't lose track of where we want to be. So we're going to have a lot of bridges coming over here. The train's going to come in. We want to work more on our networks to make sure we've got plenty of travel options, and also the highway as well. We're also going to move into this area and potentially have our farm sitting over here or some sort of industry. So yeah, we've got a lot of work that we need to do. I also want to bring in a theme park somewhere, so I'm thinking maybe in this sort of corner, with the train coming through it. I think it's going to be quite a nice vibe. I also want to get a zoo in, so I've got a lot of ideas of things that I want to do. But look, we need to get our population up first. We need to finish Fern Gully, make sure everything's decorated and looking good. So yeah, I think that's going to do us well for today, guys. So I'm actually going to leave it there. I'm not going to do any detailing time lapse today because we've still got a lot of work to do on the areas that we've built, which we'll finish off next time out. But I hope you've enjoyed that episode today. Sort of very quick, getting back into it, building up this area, and then moving on to more exciting things as we move through. So let me know down in the comments what you think. Also some ideas for moving on into the next sort of districts and next phases. Is there anything specific that you want to see from these episodes? Do let me know down in the comments. So yeah, I'll leave you with that for now, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. I will catch you all on the next one.